Hello there, I'm a Challenger League coach and this is your Exit the Matrix Gragas guide. So most of the Gragas players, if not every, are actually brainwashed to go every single game Night Harvest or Shadow Flame every damn game. Now, you would say this is Silver, so probably Silver players don't know what to build. We're gonna go to Master, same NPC build every single game. Now, you would say that maybe it's EU, so let's go to Korean, maybe Koreans know more. It's the same build. It's the same build, right? Um, yeah. Now, if I even go worldwide, all regions, it's the same build. Now, if I go to a different site, let's say maybe League of Grass is not the best site, it's the same NPC runes and builds. It's the same. I don't know why is even Shadow Flame recommended as a fourth item. Now, if I go to another site, op.gg, it's the same build. So we clearly know that every Gragas in this world goes for the same build in the jungle. Um, let's clear out these minions, of course, out of the way. So, let's check out the all-in damage of the Shadow Flame. Approximately, depends what you're fighting, a bruiser, a squishy, a tank. I just added like 50 MR, 1600 HP. Of course, it depends on their MR level, but approximately they're gonna have around this range. Depends what you're fighting. Now, I'm gonna go for a full combo with my build, with your build, and then with my build. So, these are the runes as well, just to be clear, these are my runes. Okay, so let's go for an all-in. Just generic Gragas all-in empowered QE with, right? Now, what happened in here? I dealt 227 damage and got another proc out of Night Harvester, 118, right? So that's like the generic damage from these items, of course. Um, that's it. That's like Shadow Flame plus Night. That's the damage out of them, of course. This is Night Harvester, the other one is Shadow Flame. I'm gonna go for my build for the Horizon Focus, right? You don't rush Horizon Focus, but you get it as a second item some games. Some games I get Lich Bane, Zanyi, Rabadon, right? But I'm gonna go for my generic build. Uh, So, same all-in. Nothing changed, same all-in, right? So, I even use Proto Build because we use Night Harvesters, right? So we can see it with our eyes, 226. One less damage. Wait, Horizon Focus is bad! But sometimes you're also gonna deal 209 damage out of Shadow Flame because for some reason its damage inconsistent. Maybe it depends how you combo, but sometimes its damage is inconsistent. Horizon's Focus damage is consistent actually from my testings, right? Um, from the other hand, Horizon Focus doesn't only like provides vision for 6 seconds, it also provides you 15 more cooldown with 50 less HP, which doesn't matter too much, but I guess it's there, right? So 15 cooldown is definitely great to have on a champion that likes having cooldown. And overall, approximately, you're gonna have the same or slightly less damage as a second item, right? Now, Lich Bane, another item I sometimes go for if I value having some extra mobility. This also helps you to take down objectives and towers faster than the other ones, so this definitely helps you to carry the game. Now we would say 168 is always less than Shadow Flames or the other items damage, of course. How's it called? Horizon Focus. But the important thing to point out that if you don't have your ultimate, you're gonna deal significantly less damage out of Shadow Flame, and the other item, of course, Horizon Focus. So DPS wise, Lich Bane always gonna be better, DPS wise. So I get 168 damage, but if you get two rotations of 168 damage, that's over 300, which means DPS wise, this will be always better. So generally taking down Drakes, towers, is always gonna be better. And the other important thing to point out is provides you mobility, and having mobility is actually great on Gragas because the faster you walk, the more likely you're gonna either escape or engage with your E, which is quite important, right? Now I'm gonna talk about some other unique things that I didn't necessarily find anywhere else. I want to keep this video as unique as possible. For example, as Gragas, when you're clearing your wolves at any stage of the game, really, I'm gonna kill this, kill the minions really fast, right? Uh, Throw in another Q. Now in here what you can actually do as Gragas, the interesting thing, you can actually Q into the Grom Pit and AoE both of the camps. You can even go for an empowered Q arguably, right? Now you can also pull the blue into the Grom. but there is nothing new about that because every soul in this world already knows that trick. The other trick that I didn't see in many places, you can actually pull the raptors. Let's say you're doing your raptors, right? You're just chilling, you're clearing them at any stage of the game, but the more it's more consistent if there is only one raptor alive. You can actually like do this AoE both of the camps really easily. I didn't press my Q in time, but you can do it, of course. It's my bad actually. Okay, that's totally on me. And let's pull again the raptors just to like showcase it. Okay, one more swing. Smite it, of course. So it dies, I guess. Better. And empowered Q on the red and on the raptors. That slightly increases your clear speed. Now, again, Krug, I think that you walk around the Krugs when you clear the big one. There's not much to say about this one because every soul probably in this world already knows it, so I won't actually talk about that because that's what you can actually find anywhere else on the internet. Now, another thing I want to talk about is that I always go for these runes on Gragas. Sometimes you can maybe take Phase Rush, Predator is a bit of meta, right? But first strike is the generic rune I go for more gold generation because this champion does scale well the more and more AP you have, of course, and he has of course a strong all-in, which means you're gonna get like a lots of first strike money and damage. Also you have AoE, which means you're gonna generate more gold and more damage. It's AoE damage from the first strike. Also, it's kind of good to like sometimes poke with your Q and get some first strike money if you have nothing else to do. So that's like pretty much it what I wanted to talk about. Now let's jump to the Hex Flash. The rest of them, this is just Futures Market. You get items faster, Cosmic Insight faster, Summoner Spell Haste, and Item Haste, of course. So there's not much to say about that. It's just like it, like it just helps with your activatables, cooldown and damage, cooldown and damage basically. But Hex Flash is really like another thing that you can implement in your gameplay. So, how do you even use Hex Flash? This is never taken on Gragas either, like, he never see it on Gragas. So I'm gonna burn my flash. And in here, the enemy player would be out of position, right? I cannot eat the guy. Now, if you have Hex Flash, you can actually go for really frequent ganks. You should also make sure that you press your W. In here I mess it up because I pressed the E inside of my Hex Flash animation. So, you want to W, then charge up your Hex Flash, then E. And then you can connect your E from wider areas. Now, also, it allows you to go for different type of gank angles. For example, say I want to gank mid lane, but it's kinda awkward because what's gonna happen, I either gonna eat the raptors if they're up on the enemy side, or let's say maybe they are hypothetically cleared, right? But it's kinda awkward because I eat under tower, and maybe if my ult connects I get something done, right? So what you can actually do with Hex Flash, you can actually get some crazy ganks up. For example, generic like mid lane positioning, right? I won't reach. Kinda garbage, but I won't reach, right? Now, if I Hex Flash, I will reach and I can actually bombard the enemy champion out, right? So it allows you to go for different type of gank angles. You can also Hex Flash from A to B as well. If you don't have your E up, you can Hex Flash over this wall to clear your camps a bit faster. So it helps a little bit with clearing your camps. Also on Gragas, if there is no Blesscon, you can use your Hex Flash inwards, smite the enemy dragon and get out. So it allows you to go for smoother steals, right? Without actually risking your life. Now the other trick is just like generic like gank angles. For example, if you wanna gank bot lane, let's say this would be a very unapproachable like ganking position for you, just because like if you gank from this bush, then it could be warded and they're not in the best position, so that kind of sucks. Let's say this dummy is hypothetically not here. Let's just look at these, right? So this is a bit awkward if you want to gank in here because they always ward it. Then you could maybe like bush gank if it's not warded by chance. But this area is borderline never warded. So what you can actually do as Gragas is quite interesting. You can Hex Flash, take a tower shot and all in, right? So this is another like all-in angle you can get up. But there are thousands of this type of spots. Like for example, even in here, you can X flash in. You will only take one tower shot, but you shouldn't worry about it because if you press W, you're gonna heal it up anyway. So it's not really a big concern that somebody should worry about. If I go to the enemy side, pretty much the same thing. I can get like a really good E-off in here, or it severely depends. Like bush gangs are always a bit more optimal with hex flash. Of course, like you can hex flash to certain things as well, like this wall, of course, like thicker walls that doesn't look like you can hex flash through, right? But you're gonna end up on this side of the map though, so it severely depends on the wall. Or in here, like the enemy champion is hugging the tower and you don't want to walk this area because I guess it might be warded. You can just like simply like go for some hex flash collapses. Like there are thousands ways of like use it, it's not like very specific. Now another thing I want to talk about Gragas is your Q, specifically ghost barrels, which again you don't see borderline anywhere on the internet. I even made a video about it. I wanna showcase it to you guys in my full guide of how it works, because I really wanted to show you guys things that you borderline never find on the internet anywhere else, or you don't find it at all. Show you guys a hidden ghost barrel trick on Gragas. So, when the enemy team is rotating for an objective, don't try to queue in front of this area or inside of this bush, because likely they're gonna check it with an ability or with a ward, right? What you want to do is just go for ghost barrels, right? So in here you wanna queue the wall. It's basically inside of the wall and they can see it, while it also has AoE. So this is what the enemy team sees. This is what the enemy Garen sees, right? Now in here, if I were maybe a little more patience, maybe I could make edge the Blitzcrank, I'm not sure. Now, they got caught by one Ghost Barrel so far, right? Another one I threw it inside of this wall, right? And now Blitzcrank is the one that's getting killed because he's trying to clear our ward. So it's really important to ward nearby walls because it's easier to get off Ghost Barrels then, right? So ideally, if you have wards, you should ward nearby a wall if you have a Gragas in your team. So you can go for some Ghost Barrels. And because I went for that 80% slow, it was really easy for Swain to catch up, for me to follow up, follow him up, of course, and kill the Blitzcrank before the objective is even contested, right? This is a trick that you should abuse in mid late game as Gragas, really OP trick. And most of the Gragas players are not really using it. Just that's it, like they're not really using it. I think people should use it more. Like they are actually not using it. That's a weird thing. You don't really see Gragas players frequently using it. Um, Now another important thing to watch out for is what I like to build after these generic 2 items. Sometimes I like to go a bit more offensive and get a Rabadon. This is gonna improve your damage by a lot. But if you don't necessarily want to go offensive, it severely depends on the game. You can get Zonye, some game void stuff, it really depends on the game. But this is just like my generic way of building Gragas, which often I don't see like Rabadon third item on Gragas. But look, this Q has 120% AP scaling, W 70%, but remember, the more AP you have, the more damage you reduce on your W. E again, not insane, only 60%, ult has 80%, but your AP scalings in general are actually quite good. Like look, this Q that deals 900 already, right? So those are actually quite decent damage numbers. Now, alternatively to this, I think another item very underrated on Gragas is Banshee. Now, why do I even say Banshee's Veil? Some games you can go for it, some games I even second item it, which you borderline never really see on Gragas players. Now, why would you second item it? It does not have damage. So there are some champions in the game that have a certain knockback, like Vayne, uh, whatever, like any can be a mental blockage to some Gragas players, right? Stuff like that. So there is like a single ability in their kit that would sort of deny your engage. In fact, like a Veigarry can be annoying, but now you can bypass it, right? Or Rek'Sai W could be annoying because it knocks you up. Not like Rek'Sai specifically, like Zanya is probably a little better into Rek'Sai, right? But there are games where there is like your engage just gets stopped by a certain ability, and this item certainly allows you to bypass it. Also, it provides like a decent amount of like magic resist as well, because this has 2600 only. Like this is 2600, right? Which means that the ability that would normally deny your E-engage gets stopped, and it's quite good for its price, right? Like it's really cheap. It just doesn't like provide damage, right? Like it's not about dealing damage. It's not all about like being able to actually hit your E some games, right? Because some games you don't even get to E just because like they just deny your engage and stuff, right? Um, that's it for now. These are like my own secrets that I can like tell you guys. Again, like first strike is always better than dark harvest. That's another thing. I don't know if I have to point it out. People keep going for dark harvest. You can deal more damage out of first strike, and also you can generate money, which means that you're gonna further more snowball just because of the gold lead you have. I don't know if I really have to talk about that, honestly. It's just even you're in the early game, you will deal less damage out of Night Harvester, so I don't ever recommend it. Even in games where you're gonna get shit ton of kills, just because you're gonna generate more gold out of first select, which means you're gonna more likely carry a game, in my opinion. Now, if you have any thoughts, make sure to leave them in the comment section. Anything to ask, or if I was wrong about something, definitely make sure to leave a comment in the comment section and we can discuss things. That's it for now. Have a nice day.